so much of Islamic scholarship is focused on masculinity.
Yeah.
Like it's written by men for a male audience, and it's read by men. And even your book, which is not necessarily written exclusively for a male audience, the husband in that couple didn't want his wife to read it. It was okay for him to read it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Want his wife to read it. So, with thinking about that, it seems like the paradigm very much involves centering masculinity and masculine desire when it comes to connections of sensuality and faith and desire. Is that the Islamic paradigm, or that's just the way it has evolved in Muslim culture?
I would say that's the Islamic paradigm, because we know from the famous hadith which the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, spoke about, that even in your private parts there's an act of charity, meaning an act of where you can gain rewards when you're having physical relations with your wife. So even that aspect, when you think about sexuality and sex, as long as it's done within the proper means, as in obviously through marriage, then it is an act of worship. So it's very different from like the Christian perspective. And even like pleasuring your wife, not only in terms of physically, but even emotionally as well. So when the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said treat women well, it doesn't just it's a holistic understanding. It's not just physically, it's not just financially, it's also about emotionally as well. So being able to emotionally take care of your wife, provide for her as well. All of these things which the early Muslims understood, even though, again, like you said, it was mainly mainly a male audience writing for other men, but was trying to encourage and teach men not to think about sexuality from a man's perspective and just think about yourself. Try and pleasure your wife in many different ways, not just looking at the physical side, but also emotionally as well. And not only the reason why I'm saying this is important, because you can earn divine rewards, because ultimately at the end of the day, as Muslims, hopefully everything we're doing is for the sake of Allah. So as a man hearing this, that I like women, and are you telling me that if I am doing something which I like in terms of my desires, I'm actually getting rewarded for that? For a lot of men, that's like, wow, that's great news. Do you understand? So I think in terms of the Islamic paradigm, sensuality, faith, and worship all does intertwine with one another.